glow of a smartphone screen illuminates a quiet room at midnight, casting long shadows across the walls. A tired thumb hovers over a brightly colored checkout button, driven by an exhausting day and the quiet, persistent whisper that you deserve a little reward. It is just $30, a seemingly harmless amount that promises a quick burst of joy and relief. But as the confirmation email chimes in the silent room, that fleeting high immediately gives way to a heavy, familiar, sinking feeling in your chest. This quiet midnight ritual is how the heaviest financial burdens often begin to take root in our lives. You are not making massive, life-altering purchases like luxury vehicles or extravagant overseas vacations that immediately drain your bank account. Instead, your balance grows through a continuous stream of small, frequent transactions that slip completely under your radar during the chaos of daily life. A specialty coffee here, a flash sale there, a premium subscription you forgot to cancel. These tiny leaks in your daily cash flow slowly drain your resources until you are staring at a monthly statement you barely recognize. We call this impulse spending, but the term itself feels a bit too simple for the complex reality behind it. It is the act of buying something unplanned, usually driven by a sudden urge rather than a deliberate, thoughtful budget. When you pair these spontaneous decisions with a piece of plastic that delays the actual pain of paying, you create the perfect environment for a financial trap. The credit card debt that follows is rarely born of malice or extreme recklessness, but rather from a profound disconnect between our actions and their future consequences. Society often wrongly labels this struggle as a simple lack of willpower or a fundamental failure of personal discipline. That judgment is not only deeply unfair, but it is scientifically inaccurate and ignores the reality of how our minds operate. The drive to acquire things in the moment is deeply rooted in human psychology and our brain's complex reward system. Every time you click buy, your brain releases dopamine, creating a powerful neurochemical loop that associates spending money with immediate emotional relief. You are literally self-medicating a stressful day with a retail transaction. Exploring the landscape of emotional buying reveals that it thrives in the space between how we currently feel and how we desperately want to feel. Sadness, boredom, anxiety, and even moments of celebration act as invisible triggers, pushing you toward the digital or physical register. You might buy a new outfit because you feel insecure about an upcoming social event, or order expensive takeout because the thought of cooking after a long shift is just too overwhelming. The purchase becomes a temporary, expensive bridge over a difficult or uncomfortable emotion. You are also fighting a daily battle against an environment engineered from the ground up to make you part with your money. Modern marketing tactics are relentlessly sophisticated, tracking your digital footprint to present the exact item you desire at the precise moment your willpower is at its absolute lowest. Algorithms study your browsing habits, serving up targeted advertisements that feel less like intrusive commercials and more like serendipitous signs from the universe. The psychology behind these campaigns is specifically designed to bypass your logical brain entirely and speak directly to your impulses. Social media amplifies this pressure to an almost unbearable degree, creating a distorted view of normal financial behavior. You are constantly scrolling through carefully curated feeds of influencers, friends, and peers, living seemingly perfect, aesthetically pleasing lives. The unspoken message broadcast through every image is that you are just one specific purchase away from that same level of happiness, beauty, and belonging. This digital keeping up with the Joneses accelerates the pace of your spending, making luxury items feel like baseline necessities for an acceptable life. When you use a credit card to fund this endless search for instant gratification, the financial danger multiplies exponentially. Credit cards abstract the concept of money, turning hard-earned cash into invisible, frictionless digits that float in the cloud. Handing over physical paper money actually hurts. It triggers a documented loss aversion response in the human brain. Swiping a card or tapping a phone removes that vital friction, allowing you to consume the reward without immediately feeling the painful cost of the transaction. Those frictionless swipes soon lead to a very real, very painful reality that cannot be ignored or swiped away. The small amounts quickly add up, and before long, the balance exceeds what you can comfortably pay off at the end of the month. This is where the true devastating cost of emotional spending finally reveals itself in stark black and white. You are no longer just paying for the coffee or the shoes. You are paying a premium for the privilege of borrowing that money. The mathematical mechanics of a credit card are explicitly designed to keep you in this exact vulnerable position. When you carry a balance from month to month, the issuer applies an annual percentage rate, or APR, to your outstanding debt. Because credit card interest compounds, you end up paying interest on your interest, creating a snowball effect that grows without any further spending. A $50 impulse buy can easily cost you double or triple that amount if it sits on your statement for years, quietly draining your future wealth. This compounding math creates a devastating cycle of guilt and financial paralysis that touches every aspect of your life. As the balance climbs higher, the required minimum payments consume a larger portion of your monthly income, leaving you with an inability to save for emergencies or invest in your future goals. The crushing stress of this debt often triggers the exact same negative emotions that lead to more impulse buying in the first place. You feel terrible about your debt, so you buy something small to feel better, which only adds to the mountain of debt. Breaking this vicious cycle requires a fundamental shift in how you interact with your money and your inner emotional landscape. The first step toward lasting freedom is not a restrictive, punishing budget, but rather a practice of radical self-awareness. You must begin recognizing the emotional triggers that prompt your sudden desire to spend before the transaction occurs. Start keeping a simple, honest log of your purchases, noting not just what you bought and how much it cost, but exactly how you were feeling in the moments before you reached for your wallet. Once you clearly see the emotional patterns driving your behavior, you can start building intentional friction back into your financial life. Implement a mandatory pause before any non-essential purchase to disrupt the automatic dopamine loop. Some call this the 24-hour rule, where you force yourself to wait a full day before buying anything over a certain dollar amount. This critical cooling-off period allows the emotional intensity of the moment to fade, giving your logical brain time to step in and evaluate the true necessity and value of the item. You can also physically and digitally separate yourself from your credit cards to break the deeply ingrained habitual swipe. Remove your saved card information from your favorite online retailers and delete one-click shopping applications from your smartphone. If you have to get up from the couch, find your physical wallet, and manually type in 16 digits, you are much less likely to complete a mindless transaction. These small, deliberate hurdles are incredibly effective at stopping an impulse dead in its tracks and protecting your future self. As you successfully curb the outflow of money, you must simultaneously address the structural damage left behind by past decisions. Understanding your credit score, specifically your FICO score, is vital during this critical recovery phase. Your credit utilization ratio, which is the amount of debt you currently have compared to your total available credit limit, heavily influences this three-digit number. By stopping the impulse buys and strategically paying down your existing balances, you will naturally lower your utilization and begin healing your overall credit profile. This journey of recovery is ultimately about reclaiming your personal power from the algorithms and the emotional voids that have driven your financial choices. It is about learning to sit quietly with an uncomfortable feeling without immediately reaching for your wallet to soothe it. When you finally sever the powerful link between emotional distress and financial consumption, you experience a profound sense of clarity and peace. The money you save becomes a powerful tool for your actual security, rather than a flimsy bandage for a temporary mood. You slowly transition from a state of reactive spending to a life of conscious, empowered resource management. A conscious spending plan allows you to allocate funds for joy, hobbies, and entertainment without the terrible hangover of guilt, because the money was planned for well in advance. You still get to buy things you genuinely love, but you do it on your own terms, from a place of unshakable stability rather than sudden desperation. The dark shadow of that heavy compounding balance begins to shrink, replaced by the bright light of financial control. Yet the lingering worry from that initial overwhelming realization can still remain, making the path forward feel incredibly daunting. Facing a mountain of accumulated charges can leave you feeling deeply isolated and unsure of which repayment strategy is actually safe and effective. The sheer volume of financial advice available online often contradicts itself, leaving you paralyzed just when you need to take decisive, confident action. The fear of making the wrong move can keep you locked in the minimum payment trap for years, spinning your wheels without making real progress. Most people try to handle their credit card debt on their own and end up making it worse. They either stay stuck making minimum payments or jump into programs they don't fully understand. Before you do anything, you should know exactly what your real options are. We'll review your situation for free and walk you through what actually makes sense, whether that's settlement restructuring or something else. If we can help, we'll tell you exactly what it costs up front. If not, you'll still walk away with a clear plan. No pressure, just real answers. Click the link in the description to get your free evaluation today.